Welcome to the call, all millionaires. It is definitely a pleasure to be the host of the call this evening. My name is Amygdala, and welcome again. This is our self-esteem development training call, Obsessed with Success. Thank you so much for all the millionaires that are tuning in. If this is your first time joining us, let me inform you that we have these calls every single Wednesday, and they are always filled with strategies and tips on self-esteem development, entrepreneurship, as well as secrets of the super wealthy. Listen to me now and believe me later, millionaires. These calls are amazing and will enhance and develop your mindset. Now, without further ado, this gentleman that I have the honor and the privilege of introducing has been building businesses since he was 11 years old. His very first business was even featured on a hit nationally syndicated television show called 60 Minutes. Since then, he has helped thousands of ordinary people, including myself, create, build, and sustain successful businesses and creating additional streams of revenue for themselves. This is why he is known as an entrepreneurologist. Mr. Ali is an author, a self-esteem development expert, my personal coach, my mentor, and my friend. Now, coming right up to the line is Mr. Haziq Ali. Are you on the line, sir?
Yes, I am, Miss Nancy. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Please take it away.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I hope everybody feels incredible this evening. And I want to welcome you to episode number 165 of Obsessed with Success. Thank you so much to everybody that spread it around and spread the artwork. Do you know you can now download the artwork? When you go to the website, wearemillionaireminded.com, you can go to the OWS On Demand vault, and whenever you download any training, you can also download the artwork. That's pretty cool to us because at first you couldn't do that. This is going to be an incredible training right here. I'm going to give you some time to text message your study buddy while I kind of go through a lot of this, but you're going to get the 2 functions of negotiation. You're going to get the 3 magical voices that you'll use during negotiation. I'm going to teach you 3 basic ways to create instant trust and empathy. That's going to blow your mind. What's the difference between empathy and tactical empathy? You don't know yet. You're going to find out. Did you know there were 3 kinds of yes? If you've been on the blog, you already know the 4 types of no, but there are also 3 types of yes. And then I'm going to teach you 2 words that are way more powerful than yes. And then we're even going to go over how to ask for a raise. Didn't I promise you an incredible training? So while you're text messaging your family and friends and study buddies, because you're going to get a lot of information, you're going to want to go over these notes later on this evening while it's fresh. I promise you. Here are 5 things that I bet you didn't even think of you could negotiate, right? All right. Oh, well, 4 anyway. Here are 4. All right. Cable and cell phone bills, because we'll just count that as 1. Cable and cell phone bills can be negotiated. And this is the whole thing. A lot of times you want to wait till the end of your contract. Man, them people will transfer you to some other special department. Do you hear me? And before you know it, it's going down. And by that, I mean your prices. You can go to Billshrink. You can go to Lower My Bills. That's a cool thing to see what this person's offering, any new customers, pretty cool resource. Here's a little process, as a matter of fact, for talking them down. First, you're going to want to kind of have a sample of your phone bill, right? Now, the first person's going to talk to you and say they can't do nothing for you, so you ask for somebody in customer cancellation. That's where the customer service agents start having some power. When they transfer you to some retention department instead, now you know you've got the upper hand, and that's the department that's trained to offer deals. Way different from where's our money department. All right. Second thing that I bet you never thought of negotiating is furniture and mattresses. Do you know that they deal with an 80% markup? You always got to try when you're dealing with a mattress. They mark this stuff way up, so when they offer a sale, it makes it feel like they did something for you. They didn't. Medical bills. Listen, whenever you get a bill from your doctor, or from the hospital that doesn't look right or seems like they charge you way more than you expected, maybe you got charged for something your insurance was supposed to cover, don't waste your time if you're only dealing with some copay. It's going to cost you more in gas to go drive it. But if you're looking at a bill, you got to negotiate. Some doctors will even provide reduced rates if you're willing to fill out a hardship waiver, right? Hey, you got nothing to lose but your pride, baby. But here's the whole thing. You can negotiate more than you thought. And here's the fourth one. We're actually going to get into this in a minute. I'm just trying to give you guys time to text message your people. But vacation days. The best time to negotiate vacation days at your job is before you get hired. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Because a lot of times your employer might not be able to offer you more money. You know what I mean? But you can always get those certain kinds of things while we all still friends, like more time off. This is important. Okay, so I hope that gave you a little bit of excitement about what we're about to study, okay? Because at the end of the day, negotiation is life. I mean, what can you do without negotiating? Millionaires, we're all dealing with two different systems, heart and we're dealing with mind, right? Heart and mind. So the first one is the heart, or I guess you could call it the animal. Before we've described it as almost like the elephant, right? Well, the animal, this elephant part of the brain is really fast. So elephant probably would be the best. Let's say you're riding a cheetah. There you go. So the elephant thing is supposed to connotate power, but let's just go with cheetah, because what I want you to realize is how fast that part of your mind is. It's fast. It's emotional. It's instinctive. You know, it's in direct, sort of like polar opposite to the man, to system number 2, which is slow and deliberate and logical. Here's what you got to write down, though. System 1, the heart, is way more influential. It's the one that's guiding and steering our rational thought. System 1 is what has these global foundational beliefs and feelings and impressions that give birth to the more explicit beliefs and sorts of like choices that the mind makes with its conscious, critical thinking. So think about that for a minute. If you can affect the heart just by how you frame and deliver your questions and your statements, then can't you guide the mind? That's why these power questions I'm going to teach you about in a little while are so powerful. Power questions are insane because, it takes something like, how am I supposed to do that? See, now you're talking directly to the heart because they want to empathize. Now, from your perspective, right, his emotions have to accept that the offer isn't good enough. He's looking at it from your perspective now. So then what happens? System 2 kicks in and it calculates and rationalizes why it makes sense to give you a better offer. System 1 is the river that feeds the ocean. So we react emotionally to the suggestion or the question, but then the heart kind of comes up with this response. The heart informs, and you might as well say creates the answer. Now, why is this important? This is important because life is negotiation. I want you to accept that. I want you to join my business. I want a 15% raise. You know, I want you to do your homework once you get home. Negotiation is life. And see, negotiation is a little bit different from sales in this context because negotiation is the whole process leading up to the sale. Right? Everything leading up, every interaction before the action you want is a negotiation. Therefore, the 2 functions of negotiation that I promised you are probably going to sound a little similar. Familiar, especially if you have studied the training that we gave you on Jordan Belfort and a straight line persuasion system. If you remember, the 2 sides of his straight line are gathering intelligence and building rapport. Well, listen to these. The 2 functions of negotiation are gathering intelligence and influencing behavior. Now, this is any interaction where one side wants something from the other. That's a negotiation. Your career, your life, the direction of your children. At some point, these all hinge on your ability to negotiate. This is just the study of communication with results. Since conflict is inevitable, because who, after all, wants to hang out with a bunch of people that want the exact same things in every single situation that they want? I mean, oh, man, carve my, right? Just throw me in the, right? So, no, conflict is inevitable. So learning how to engage without causing harm is invaluable. Now, my goal for this training is simply to give you the tools you need to disarm, redirect, and dismantle, all in a way that strengthens the relationship. Sounds like I'm promising a lot, right? So are you ready? I hope you just now said yeah. Okay, so here we go. Here's the first tool. We kind of went over this in Affirmation Nation this morning, but here's the first tool I want you to realize. You've got your voice. Tonality is powerful, millionaires. There's some kind of study they did at Cambridge University long ago that broke down how only 7% of your communication is your words. The other 93% is your tonality and your body language. So millionaires, there are 3 different types of tonalities that you want to choose from when you're talking about negotiation. There are 3. The first is the most powerful. The second is the one that you mostly want to use. And the third is one that you only use with extreme caution. Here's the first one, the Barry White voice. This morning we kind of called it the late night DJ voice, right? But you want to talk like this. And ladies, I know that you can't like get that low, but the whole point is to talk like this. Your whole idea is that you're soothing them. See, emotion management is crucial to success in almost anything. And one thing that you've got to understand is that you can control other people's perceptions and therefore the emotions that they respond with through tonality. The Barry White voice says, you've got it all under control. It's almost like telepathy. Stop focusing on what you say and focus on the easiest thing for you to fix. And also the most effective, millionaire, focus on how you are. Again, don't focus on what you say. Focus on how you are. How are you? See, you know, we're all about entrepreneurology, right? The whole study of how the mind works. Brains just don't process words, millionaires. They understand feelings and emotions. Don't you realize when you radiate warmth, the conversation just flows, right? They just give it back to you. You've got 3 different choices. You've got the Barry White, you've got the positive and playful, and then you've got the direct and assertive. And most times you should be using the playful, positive voice. But when conflict is high, when tension is thick, there's nothing like the Barry White. Here's the second tool that I want you to recognize, though. The second tool is mirroring. Mirroring. You know, they call it isopraxism, right? Isopraxism, right? And it's really just imitation. We, in human nature, in the animal kingdom, we copy each other to comfort each other, right? We all like people that we're like. That's speech patterns. That's slang. How many times do you start talking like your friends? That's body language. That's tempo. That's tone of voice. I have a best friend who I remember like all through kind of like our little like sort of like college and even when you would be like because he's one of my artist friends, we would just inexplicably dress alike. It was just the weirdest thing. We would just dress alike almost naturally. Right? Like we just show up and have on a red jacket and some black pants and then some black, yellow, and red shoes. Real weird like that. Or we would just automatically buy the same. Now, we are born on the same day, so that's probably some of it too. But here's my point. You want to do that on purpose. Mirroring is insinuating that similarity. This is crucial because, as we all know, it's the KLT formula that leads the revenue. Do they know you? Do they like you? Do they trust you? Well, that starts when you start to mirror. And if you want to gather info and influence behavior, they got to like you. Here's one quick, sort of like magical wizard type of technique that's going to allow you to instantly build that KLT. Now, this isn't the one that's going to create instant trust and empathy. I'm going to get to that in a minute. But this is the one that's going to start the process. Repeat the last 3 words that they said, or the last crucial 1 to 3 words, or the last phrase that really sums up what they just now said. Repeat that and keep them talking. Here's the third one. Don't feel their pain, label it. The reason why you go for the sucker move and you accept that first is because you're starting to feel their pain. That ain't what we do. Listen, you got your own pain. We're not going to feel their pain. We're going to create instant trust and empathy by labeling their pain. Millionaire, imagine yourself in their position. Emotions aren't obstacles. Emotion is the ego, as usual, revealing everything you need to know to influence the person. Any of you who are my coaching clients or any of you who are my mentees, you already know I call it emotion judo. I call it ego judo, ego judo. You guys hear me talk about it all the time. But when they start screaming out and their ego starts making all of this noise, it's telling you everything you need and way more than they want you to know a lot of times. You can learn all of that just by watching, just by listening, just by staying woke and shutting your mouth. Millionaire, you're a therapist. Your soothing voice, your close listening. And then when you label it, you're creating that empathy. What is empathy? Write this down. It's the ability to recognize and vocalize the perspective of somebody else. So then what is tactical empathy? Tactical empathy is not only those parts, but it's also hearing what's behind the feelings. It's hearing what's behind the words they're saying so you can create more influence. This is emotional, what they call EQ, emotional intelligence on steroids. Princeton, one of our Ivy League universities, they ran this experiment where they hooked people up to an MRI, a magnetic resonance. I forget what the I stands for. Google it. But basically what they proved is that this neural resonance that you always hear people talk about when they're dealing in studies of sales, it's called neural resonance, right? It disappears when communication sucks. Neural resonance is basically this phenomenon. When you observe somebody's face, their gestures, your mirror neurons kick on. That's why when somebody frowns at you, you automatically frown back. When we closely observe people's face, their gestures, their tone of voice, our brains begin to align with theirs. Now it's a weird telepathy thing that kicks in where you know how they're thinking. You know how they feel. It's weird. They've got this study where they show people pictures of faces, right? Pictures of faces. And the faces would be expressing really strong emotion. That would kick the amygdala up. For those of you that have been on our trainings before, you know that's lizard brain. Amygdala is in control of everything, horny, selfish, hungry, scared. In other words, high school. Right? Little Haziq joke. All right. But what I'm saying is the amygdala kicked up when they would show them pictures of faces that were just contorted with fear or rage or whatever the strong expression was. But guess what? The fear disappeared when they were asked to label it. See? So you want to label. What do we mean by that? What we mean is you're listening to the words, the music, and the dance. You're going to label it. So when they're talking, right, once you hear, see, and by the way, this is how a lot of these fake psychics work. You know, I often tell people, because they'll say, are you, you know, I've had some wild things happen, like in my sales career or even doing retail, running businesses, and people would always kind of ask me, was I psychic? And I would always say, no, I think I'm just observant. Well, listen, you want to pay attention to the words, the music, and the dance. Millionaires, watch how they respond to external events, even when the events are your words. So the words are the words. The music is the tonality. The dance is the body language. Listen to the words, the music, and the dance. Watch how they respond. This is what psychics do. They listen to you, and then they repeat back what they can tell you want to hear. So here are 3 types of labels that you can use. It seems like, it sounds like, it looks like. Again, it seems like, it sounds like, it looks like. And see, this is the beauty of that. 2 things, 2 safety measures that are built in. A lot of times when I'm teaching systems, I always explain to them that the purpose of the system, right, is to make it so you don't have to understand all the psycho babble that makes it so magical. Listen, just use it. Just use the technique. Ain't nobody say you had to learn everything about how the electricity flows all through the house. How about you just flip the switch? Sorry for the sidebar. It seems like, it sounds like, it looks like. And here's the beauty. Here's safety measure number 1. If they disagree, you can just jump in and say, well, I didn't say that's what it was. I was just saying that's what it seems like, right? Here's a second safety measure. Notice I didn't say what I'm hearing is, who cares about me? Nobody, right? So no, you say it, because that leaves it like we're just trying to figure this out. We in this together. They hate you right now. They don't hate you, but, you know, don't focus on what you hear. Who cares? And then here's the secret after a good label, after you label it. Shut up. Silence. So let's say you're a real estate agent, right? And you're like, man, so seems like you like this house. You're going to want to say after that, what'd you think of the neighborhood? No. Don't say that next. After you say, so, seems like you like this house, shut up. Let the label work its magic. You know, sometimes you might be dealing with like let's say a cranky family member, right? Grandma feeling some kind of way. You know how she do. You know, she you know, wounded and stuff, right? She's sitting there, and so maybe you go over there and you label her emotions. Maybe you label it. Remember what we said about the amygdala, right? So maybe you label it. Maybe you say, we don't get to see each other a lot. You're saying it out loud, millionaire. We don't get to see each other a lot. It seems like, you heard that? It seems like you feel like we don't pay any attention to you. So why should you make time for us? Now you shut up. See? Now they've got to say something. Instead of you just attacking or you asking them some kind of, right? Nah, let's just label it and get this bad boy moving. Now, from there, you go ahead and pivot a little bit. I always teach this when even you're dealing with the objections. You relate and then navigate, right? So from there you pivot, you navigate. Well, for us, this is awesome, Grandma. We want to hear what you have to talk about. We want to value this time with you because we feel left out of your life. See? Now, that's the whole idea behind tactical empathy. We didn't say that we agree with Grandma. We're not mentioning how many times we call Grandma and Grandma doesn't return the call. We're not bringing none of that up. Grandma can't work her voicemail, so she don't even know we called. We're not mentioning none of that because that's not important right now. What's important right now is that we label it so we can get them talking, so we diffuse the situation. See, the reasons that people won't do something are a lot of times way stronger than the reasons they will. So you got to clear a lot of that crap out first. List the worst things they can say. I call this the 8 Mile technique. right? Like with Eminem, if you guys remember this movie. But the way that he won the rap battle at the end of the movie was he started naming all the stuff that they would say. So it took all the power out of it. Plus, when you say it out loud, what they probably say, when you beat them to it, you can slightly exaggerate. That way they can say, well, we ain't saying all of that. Man, you guys are going to say I suck. You guys are going to say I'm the most horrible guy. Well, wait a minute now. We didn't say all of that, right? Here's the fourth thing that I want you to kind of jot down. Here's the fourth thing. This is the fourth, like, master key. No is the quickest path to a real yes. Now, anybody that's millionaire minded, y'all know how we feel about no. You know we love a good no. How many times you ever get a call from like a telemarketer, or you ever run into one of these guys in the mall, or I don't know, what's a good example, man? Definitely used car salesman, but that's so like cliche, right? But you know they call you or they get you on the phone and they ask you all these dumb questions because they know the rule we all know. If you keep saying yes, then it's going to lead to a yes. So they asking you something like, you know, do you drink water? And, oh, man, you just want to say, no, I don't. I'm a camel, right? Because it's like, I don't know. They are annoying you with such an obvious, dumb, patronizing question. But I want you to think for a minute you don't care about being nice to this person. I want you to think for a minute they're in your face. Now, they ask you this question, and I mean, you had a ball saying it. No. Now you're almost watching them squirm, right? Don't you feel confident? Don't you feel in control? Well, see, think about that. Because that's what you do for your prospect. That's what you do for your counterpart when you allow them to say no. Now they feel powerful. It's this whole Les Brown story. I won't bother you guys with it now. We talked about how he became a radio DJ. And, I mean, every time he would take that no right on the chin, eat it for breakfast. But here's what's crazy. Do you know that there are 3 kinds of yes? Again, if you go to, write this down, wearemillionaireminded.com/understanding-no. You'll see a whole kind of blog we did on understanding the 4 types of no. But listen, there are also 3 types of yes. Yeah. There's a counterfeit, there's a confirmation, and there's a commitment. So what's the counterfeit? It's the one where they plan on saying no, but the yes is just going to, you know, they just, hey, just keep talking. They just trying to get some more information from you so that they can tell you why they got to back on out. Then what's the confirmation? The confirmation is just basically when they tell you yes, maybe you used anger or something because you weren't on this training, and you use anger. Now they're agreeing because they're scared of you, but ain't no action plan. So now how are you going to execute? And then the third one is commitment. That's the real deal. That's the one we're hoping for. That's the one that comes with a signature on that dotted line. Here's a magical email that'll make it so you're never ignored again. Here's a magical email. When you're trying to close certain types of deals, you send off one email, they ignore it. You send off a second email, they kind of like playing you to the left. Here's the third one. Write them this single sentence. Have you given up on this project? See, when you have a clear, concise, no-oriented question, oh, man, it's golden. You got to stop fearing no and start looking forward to it. This is the whole thing. No's move everything forward. So at the point that you ask them a no-oriented question, well, now they can go ahead and get it off their chest. Now that they feel in control, now maybe you can say, well, man, I would just love to hear from you some ways that, like, I could have improved how I did or where my approach was wrong. Can I call you later on this evening? Now you got a conversation going. Here's number 5. We're running out of time. Golly. Here's number 5. And this one right here is sort of like a much bigger version of the technique that we gave you this morning on Affirmation Nation. But this is how you break the unbreakable, because there are two words that are way more powerful than yes. And when you can get them to say these two words, you're on your way. You're on your way. I'm talking about you're like 70% there. But I'm going to give you the full process that leads you up to this. So first, you're dealing with this person, and it's getting kind of rough. So first, you label it, right? We just talked about that, right? We label it first. And then from there, you pause. So you label, and then you pause. There's power in that silence. See? Because as you're letting them talk, now that you've labeled it, think back to grandma, or think back to, whoever. Now you're getting them talking. See, sometimes you can be too tired to be angry. You ever seen that? People too tired to fight anymore. They just drained, man. And they're like, we just going to finish something. But now that their emotions are gone, they can't even think of the perfect thing they wanted to say, and all that bile and venom done gone out of it. They drained. And sometimes that was us, right? I know somebody can relate to what I'm saying. So that's why you want to label things and pause, because their emotions are going to get drained. Here's the second one. Do small little encouragers while they're talking. This is how you get them to the two words that change everything. Do small little encouragers. Keep them talking. You're draining the swamp, and not in the Donald Trump way, right? Number 3, mirroring. We just talked about that. You're listening. You're repeating back phrases. You're using their slang. You're saying those important, 3 words that they just now said. The fourth one, labeling. It all seems so unfair. I can see now why you sound so angry, right? You're labeling everything, calling it out. Not just noticing it, but vocalizing it, right? Vocalizing, recognizing and vocalizing. Remember, we said that was empathy. Recognizing and vocalizing, right? So that's the whole point that you're doing right here. You're labeling it out loud. And then here's a powerful one. You paraphrase. This is where you don't just mirror and say back to them what they said. Now you're using your own words. You're showing that you ain't no parrot, that you ain't patronizing them. And then number 6, here we go. We got to it. Now you summarize. Meaning plus emotions. In other words, labeling plus paraphrasing equals a summary. And here are the 2 words you're trying to get them to, millionaires. That's right. Listen to me. You're right is horrible. Whenever they say you're right, you just lost that deal. Imagine talking to a child and you know what I mean, you try to get them to listen, you can always shut somebody up with a you're right. Right? Why? Because who cares? Listen, you'll be scolding a child about his homework, and then he tells you you're right. Man, he ain't listening to you. But what if you label and summarize it? Like, man, it seems like you don't like bringing your homework to me because sometimes I get a little upset with you, and I kind of can yell and get impatient. That's right. See, now you won. Now you done opened up the mind of that child or that boss or that coworker or that spouse, because those are the 2 words that are way more powerful than the one you've been trained to go for your whole life, which is yes. Man, yes is too hard to all 3 of the yeses can sound similar. It's hard to tell the difference between the different kinds of yeses, but when they say that's right, you got them. Here's number 6. Oh, man. Bend their reality. Write this down. This is something to Google. It's called prospect theory. Prospect theory. This is how people choose when risk is involved. This is how people choose when risk is involved. And it's important for you to understand prospect theory if you're going to learn to bend reality. You got to use your reality distortion field. Here's what I mean. Let's just say I've got, I don't know, a watch. Let's say a coffee mug. Now, the coffee mug is not shipped up, but it is used. How much is this coffee mug worth? Now, in your mind, you're like $3.50 tops, right? We at the yard sale, $3.50, right? But watch this. What if it's you that has the mug and I want to buy it from you, or you want to sell it to me? Now, all of a sudden, what is it worth? $5 all day, $7 all day. Only thing that changed is the perspective we were looking at it from, right? Prospect theory. Watch this. Write this down. 95% chance of winning $10,000 or 100% chance of winning $9,499. Again, write this down. I'm giving you a choice. You've got a 95% chance of winning $10,000, or you've got a 100% chance of winning $94.99. Which one are you going to take? Now, see, prospect theory says that most people are going to pick 100% chance of winning that $9,499. That's called prospect theory, because people prefer to avoid loss. Now watch this. 95% chance of losing $10,000 or 100% chance of losing $9,499. I'm going to say it again. This time, let's say you have a 95% chance of losing $10,000 or a 100% chance of losing $9,499. Which one are you going to pick? Well, according to prospect theory, most people are going to pick the 95% chance of losing the $10,000. See, this is what I want you to boil all of this down. This isn't just some academic stuff. I want you to really catch this. When there is a chance for loss, it allows more risk tolerance than the chance for gain. The chance for loss allows people to take much bigger risks than the chance for gain. So, here's how you ask for a raise. Because what you got to realize is that when you're dealing with this boss, he's all in front of you, good people are hard to find. Millionaires, let me tell you, just the fact that you're on a line like this tells me you're in the top 20% in your work. I guarantee you that. And the boss knows it. Good people are really, really hard to find. So here's sort of like I'm going to give you like a couple steps. And really this goes for, raises, but honestly, this goes for anything. This is like sort of like a way that you negotiate terms as it relates to anything. We're going to frame it with asking for a raise, but matter of fact, I'm actually going to give you a couple other things that make it even more raise-oriented. But listen to this. Here's the first step to negotiation when you're asking for more. Here we go. The first one is you anchor their emotions. You anchor their emotions. See, the whole thing when you're talking to somebody and you're dealing with a negotiation is that you've got to set the bar. You've got to either reach so low or so high that you inflame their loss aversion. That way they jump to kind of avoid it. Here's the second one. You let the other guy go first, usually. Usually, you're hoping that they'll go first. But this is the caveat. You got to prepare yourself. Because if they're a shark, if they're a professional, then they're going to go really deep with their anchor. They're going to anchor your emotions. And see, the thing about an extreme anchor is that it makes absurd seem kind of reasonable because they went so hard, right? I mean, with an iPhone is $600. So when they mark it down to just an absurd $400, we're like, oh, it's on sale. It's on sale. I guess I get it. You know, it's only $400. What? A phone, as I say this from my iPhone, was $30 a couple years ago. Stop playing. Here's the third one. And here's the first one that is patently, I'm talking about this one is golden when you're looking to negotiate a pay increase. Establish range. Establish range. Write that down. See, this is the thing. Instead of saying, I don't know, I'm worth $125,000, that can feel aggressive. That can feel like what you want to say is, well, you know, at top companies like blank, this job pays between $140,000 and $165,000. Now, studies have shown, you know, they did one at Columbia Business School, that when you set a range as a job applicant, you do, I mean, it's not even close how much better you do in salary negotiations and overall salary. Set the range. Don't forget that. Here's the fourth one. Pivot to the non-monetary. We kind of warned you about this earlier today. Pivot to the non-monetary. Remember we were talking about how a lot of times you want to ask for the vacation beforehand, right? Well, this is a good time to kind of like think about that, right? So they might throw out the offer. Instead of saying no, maybe say, well, you know, maybe you're just throwing that out to kind of see where my head was. Here's what I was thinking. Matter of fact, in the music business, you know what radio stations do? Radio stations, when they can't pay this mega artist concert fee, they will pivot to something non-monetary. They'll offer them spins leading up to the concert, which sometimes the artist needs, sometimes the artist don't care. You know, maybe they'll offer them, you know, kind of like an interview. Or maybe the artist has a record label and they'll offer them to interview one of their brand new artists. See, you're pivoting to non-monetary terms. Here's the fifth one. Use non-specific odd numbers. We did a training on negotiation before that was sort of like a preface to a lot of this. And that was one of the tips that we gave in there. I made sure to make this one completely different but still valuable than the last training we did on negotiation. And as you see by the time, we're going to have to split this into a second part because I got so much there's so much to still share with you guys. But it looks like we're getting part one done pretty good. Here's the sixth one. So before I get off number 5, using non-specific odd numbers, right? We talked about that before, but for those that never heard it before, listen to me. When I say 37,643, man, that sounds like that is the best I can do when I'm selling you this car. Or that sounds like that's the lowest I can go if we were talking about a raise from 30,000 or whatever it is, right? Use non-specific odd numbers. It is magical. And here's number 6. Now, this is the one. This is the one. When you're really like offering and you want them to understand that you are drained, allegedly, right? Now's when you offer them some unrelated gift. This actually works in reverse in sales. You know, one of my mentors talks about how you might be doing a marketing course. You might be doing some kind of I don't know, marketing, networking seminar, right? And then as a bonus, you offer a round of golf. Now, golf ain't got nothing to do with networking, but it kind of does, right? It kind of does because they say all the business deals happen on a golf course. So that's a way to offer some unrelated gift. But a lot of times, even if you're talking about like high-powered hostage negotiations, these negotiation consultants will tell the family, all right, tell them you got, you know, $3,761 and a CD player. And now the kidnapper's like, damn, they must really be, okay, this must be it. All right, look, here's your group, right? So here are a couple other things to think about when you're negotiating a better salary. First, be present and be persistent and be pleasant. when it comes to the non-salary terms. So that's what we talk about. Extra week of vacation, parking space, expense account. What are the non-salary terms that you want to make sure you're firm on? Set that in the beginning, because right now we're still negotiating, baby. All right, the second one is you always want to connect salary with success. That's how you get more promotions. So let's say you don't want a couple concessions and they've agreed to this higher thing. You better set what success looks like up. You better set those parameters and quantify this stuff, because guess what? It's free for your boss, but you know what you just did is you just set up your next promotion, because when you hit those markers, it's time to sit down again. I mean, what we here for? Are we here to win? I mean, what we doing? And here's the third one. Always remember this. You are not at a job to be an employee. You're at a job to be an apprentice. The minute you stay at a job longer than you need those skill sets, longer than you needed to learn those new skills, you have just sold your soul. You don't stay at no job for the money. You stay at a job so that you can learn what you need to become more valuable. Here's what's vitally important to that process. Recruit a mentor. At your job, if you really want to make more money, if you really want to rise the ladder, pick somebody, even if they're a couple notches above your head, and recruit them as a mentor. See? But this is the secret. When they give you some guidance, show them how quick and efficiently and effectively you can follow it. From there, you got a mentor. Man, that lady's daughter ain't giving her that kind of attention and responsiveness. That man's son ain't giving him that type of responsiveness and attention and care over the legacy and the information that they've been spending decades to learn. Ask them something like this. What's it take to be successful here? What's it take to really knock this job out the park? What does this company really need from somebody in my position? How can I really make this not just work, but explode? Oh, man, you just got yourself a man. We're going to pick it up next week with some the second half of this training is going to be insane. I hope this was helpful to you. Look for the blog entry with the replay. We'll put that up very soon. This is episode number 165. When I post the replay, if you have any questions, post it under there, and I'll try my best to respond to it. My name is Haziq Ali. My Instagram is Haziq Ali, HaziqAli, and my Twitter is Haziq. If there's any kind of way that I can help, then let me know. As always, I want to leave you with our mantra, because it is so true. And the fact that you're here right now means you must believe it like millionaires. Either your mind has to expand to match your goals, or your goals will just start to shrink to match your mind. Let's grow.